All right, so it's that time. You need a new laptop for school. You head online, and bam, you're hit with this wall of options, all just screaming different specs and numbers at you. It is confusing, right? But hey, don't worry. In the next few minutes, we're going to cut right through all of that noise. I'm going to give you a super simple framework to find the absolute perfect laptop for your specific needs in 2026.
And really, that's the whole point, isn't it? Our goal here isn't to find the most powerful, most expensive machine on the market. Nope, it's to find the right tool for your degree so you can save your money for the things that really matter. You know, like coffee, instant noodles, and maybe some late-night pizza.
Yeah, I get it. It's so easy to feel completely overwhelmed. Every single brand is telling you their special features, the one you absolutely cannot live without. But relax. We're going to give you a simple, clear path to follow so you can make a choice you feel really good about.
So, here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about the main problem. Then, we'll walk through a really simple 3-step process to find your perfect match. And, to wrap it all up, we'll go over the most common mistakes so you can totally avoid them. Sound good? Let's dive in.
Okay, so let's start with the most fundamental question of all. What even is a student laptop? Honestly, getting this part right is the absolute key to not wasting your money.
I want you to think of it this way. A student laptop is a workhorse, not a show horse. Its job is to let you write papers, do your research, join online classes, and get your assignments done without a fuss. For pretty much every student out there, reliability and just plain practicality are so much more important than raw, expensive power.
Okay, seriously, if you only remember one thing from this entire explainer, please make it this. The single most important factor in choosing a laptop is your major. It dictates, well, pretty much everything. So, if you're studying something like humanities or business, your life is going to be about writing, making presentations, and maybe some spreadsheets. You just don't need a beast of a machine for that. A modern Intel i3 or a Ryzen 3 processor with 8 GB of RAM, that's going to be absolutely perfect. You definitely don't need to pay extra for a fancy graphics card.
Now, for you computer science students out there, the game changes a little bit. You're going to be running code editors, maybe some virtual machines, and probably a million browser tabs all at once. This is where stepping up to 16 gigs of RAM becomes a really, really smart move. It just keeps everything running nice and smooth while you're compiling code and searching for answers online at the same time.
For my engineering and other technical field students, things can get a little more intense. You might be using some seriously heavy-duty software, like CAD or simulation tools. So the most important thing you can do, and I mean this, is check your department's official website for their hardware recommendations. They will tell you exactly what you need to run their software.
And of course, for all you creative folks in design, film, and media, this is where a powerful graphics card or a GPU becomes genuinely important. If you're going to be editing video or working on complex animations, a good GPU, plus lots of RAM and a high-quality, color-accurate screen is going to make your life so much easier.
All right, now that you know your student type, let's quickly break down the big 3 core specs you'll see everywhere: CPU, RAM, and storage. Don't worry, we're going to keep this super simple. Okay, the CPU. Just think of it as the brain of your laptop. It's the part that does all the thinking. So a faster brain means a faster, more responsive laptop. It's really that simple. And here's a pro tip that could save you some serious cash. Newer is almost always better than a bigger number. A brand new i5 processor from this year will likely run circles around an i7 from a few years ago. Plus, those newer chips are way more power efficient. And you know what that means? Longer battery life. So always check the generation or the year.
So if the CPU is the brain, think of RAM as its workspace or desk. The bigger the desk, the more projects and papers you can have spread out at once without things getting cluttered and slow. You know when your computer grinds to a halt with tons of tabs open? That's you running out of desk space.
And this is why today in 2026, 8 GB is the absolute bare minimum you should even consider. It's fine for basic stuff, but if you're a heavy multitasker or you're in a technical major like computer science, making that jump to 16 gigs is what's going to keep you from pulling your hair out. 4 gigs, just don't do it. It's not enough anymore.
And finally, we have storage. This is just the file cabinet where you keep all your stuff. You only need to remember one thing here: SSD. It stands for solid-state drive, and it is worlds faster than those old, clunky hard drives. Getting an SSD is non-negotiable. It makes everything feel so much faster.
So, we've covered the internal specs, the brains of the operation. But what about the things you'll be physically dealing with every single day on campus? Let's talk about the stuff that actually matters when you're running between classes.
This number right here, this might be the most important number in this entire explainer. You need a laptop that can get you through a full day of classes without you having to desperately search for a power outlet. Look for something that promises at least 8 to 12 hours of real-world use.
And here's another thing you'll thank me for later. A heavy laptop is a literal pain in the neck, and the shoulders and the back. Aim for something in this weight range. Trust me, when you're trekking across campus, every single gram matters.
All right, we are on the home stretch. Before you go out and make that final decision, let's just quickly run through a pre-purchase checklist. This is going to help you avoid some of the most common and, frankly, most expensive mistakes.
So here are a few classic traps to watch out for. First, gaming laptops. Yeah, they look cool, but their battery life is usually awful and they're heavy. Second, you probably don't need a top-of-the-line i7 or i9 CPU if you're just writing essays. And whatever you do, please do not get a laptop with only 128 gigabytes of storage. It will fill up in like a month. It's just not enough.
So, what should you actually expect to pay? Well, this chart gives you some realistic ranges. For the vast majority of students, that $600 to $800 range is the sweet spot. That's where you get a really solid, reliable machine that will last your entire degree without a bunch of expensive extras you don't need.
And the age-old question, Mac or Windows? Look, here's the simple breakdown. Windows just gives you way more choices at different price points. Macs are famous for their great battery life and being easy to use, but you do pay a premium for them. The best advice? Check if your specific course requires software that only runs on one or the other. That can make the decision for you.
So let's wrap all this up with the most important idea of all. The best student laptop isn't the fastest one or the most expensive one. It's the one that is the perfect tool for your coursework. That is how you make a smart, confident choice.
So, with all that in mind, what's the right tool for your degree? Now you actually have the framework to answer that question for yourself. Match the machine to your major, understand what the core specs actually mean, and focus on those real-world needs like battery life and weight. You've totally got this. Choose wisely and go crush it.